I think it's essential for us to have a healthy climate, being able to restore the environment and the ecosystem conditions of what I'll call the three poles of the Earth. And that includes the Arctic regions with all the sea ice, the Antarctic regions with the Thwaites Glacier, the largest glacier on Earth, that is presently responsible for 4% of sea level rise. And finally, the ice and snow at the top of the world, and that is the Himalayas. Our Climate Foundation is pleased to be partnering with the Healthy Climate Initiative in restoring the climate at the top of the Earth. And that has multiple components. We have to ensure a healthy climate on land and in the sea, and that is freshwater supplies for millions of people that depend, in fact, billions who depend on the Himalayas for a sustainable form livelihoods that are in the tropical portions on the coastlines of India, where seaweed is being grown as a sustainable food, feed, and fertilizer for, again, supporting food security for billions of people. So whether it's by land or by sea, we have to work together to work on regenerating a healthy climate for all of humanity and for the 8 million species who cannot vote on the outcome of the coming decades. So Dr. Sumitra, I'm very honored to be here today and very pleased to be partnering our Climate Foundation with the Healthy Climate Initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. It's such a pleasure that you have been able to join at this late night. You're in Australia and it is very late for you. Thank you very much. And we are looking forward to this partnership and working together for a joint project. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure, Dr. Sumitra.
Over to you, Abhijt, Acharya, Dr. Acharya.
Okay, Sumitra. Now I request Mr. Rituraj Phukan to deliver his message. Rituraj Phukan is a leader of climate change from India. He has a large number of accolades and leadership roles in fighting climate change across the globe. Mr. Rituraj Phukan, please.
Thank you, Dr. Abhijt, and it's a pleasure to be here and see so many familiar faces, as well as seeing some people who I have met over the emails for the first time as well. And I have been involved with HCI for over 2 years now. I think I did one of the first presentations, if not the first ones. And then since then, we have collaborated on a few webinars in India and internationally as well. And thanks to Shreyansh, Budhia for connecting us. And then it was very wonderful to meet Sumitra in person at Glasgow during COP26 as well. And right now we are looking to bring different solutions to the Eastern Himalayan region. Particularly in Assam, we are thrilled to have initiated a project with Mr. Jadav Payang, the forest man of India, where we are looking to do some reforestation. And as Shreyansh mentioned in a meeting some time back, we are looking to scale it up to over about 5,000 hectares of reforestation across the Northeast in the coming years. There are other things we are working on, and hopefully the Himalaya Arctic restoration that has got so much potential and so much of importance, as Dr. Brian was saying, the third pole region, and the warming impacts are most pronounced in the Eastern Himalayas. I have had the pleasure or the fortune to see climate impacts at both the polar frontiers as well as the Himalayas, especially, and I live in the Eastern Himalayas. So I look forward to meeting all of you and collaborating together on the solutions for a better planet. Thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you, Mr. Rituraj Phukan, for your nice message. Now I request Dr. Fawzia of Tarannum, Assistant Professor, TERI School of Advanced Studies, to present his message.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abhijt, and good morning and good evening to everyone who have joined from different parts of the world. It's indeed an honor and privilege for me to be part of the third AGM of Healthy Climate Initiative. So I work for TERI School of Advanced Studies. TERI for more than 5 decades have been working in the field of environment and sustainability. They started off with renewable energy, and later on, in 1998, they went on to start the TERI School of Advanced Studies, which is an academic and a research institution working, offering academic programs, the master's and PhD programs, but alongside, we do extensive applied research in the field of climate change, sustainability, natural resources management, policy and environment. So on different aspects of it, we do work on it. Alongside, I'm also a climate reality leader like Rituraj, and have been working on several water conservation projects across India, and also in capacity building programs for primarily focused at youth. So that's one more thing that probably enjoy. I actually was introduced to Healthy Climate Initiative by Rituraj, and it is just about maybe 6 to 7 months that I have been introduced. But definitely I can say that there is a lot of opportunity to collaborate between the Healthy Climate Initiative and TERI School of Advanced Studies, especially in the light of when we look at the IPCC report that has come out, the 6th assessment report that has come out, which actually has actually said that India is perhaps one of the top countries which is vulnerable to impacts of climate change. And the climate index also says that we are almost like we are amongst the top 5 countries which are probably vulnerable to the impacts of climate change. India is a huge coastline. It's almost 7,500 kilometers of coastline that we have. And with the sea level rise, our coastal communities are being impacted tremendously. The tropical cyclones are getting now more intense and more frequent. And we know that how last year in 2020, we had the Amphan, which had almost destroyed 80% of the Sundarbans. And Healthy Climate Initiative is, of course, working in that area also, not just in terms of rejuvenating that place, but also in terms of building adaptive capacity of the community. The other thing that probably, again, India has got the Himalayan, is part of the Hindu-Kush Himalayan region, and the glacial retreat that we are witnessing, along with the problem of black carbon that is there, and especially in the southern side of the Himalayan region and the middle Himalayan region, where we have large amount of tourism and community living close to that. So again, Healthy Climate Initiative, along with multiple partners, Arctic Ice and several partners, are trying to work on a proposal wherein we can at least run an experiment to see that how we can actually slow down the melting of the snow. So that's another thing that's there. The third thing that we probably are also witnessing is the erratic monsoon that is there, and we have a large number of extreme weather events. So there is again a scope of working there. So all these challenges that India is facing also provides us with an opportunity, and that in the light of the commitment that the Honorable Prime Minister of India has made at COP26 on cutting down the carbon emission by 1 billion ton and going net zero by 2070. Of course, there would be large number of opportunities for carbon sequestration and carbon capture. And again, we see a lot of opportunity there also for Healthy Climate Initiative. So with that, I would like to wish all the very best to this initiative, and we look forward to collaborating and working together. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Fawzia, for your nice message. Hope we all work together. Now, I request Mr. Shreyansh Budhia, ACL Executive Committee member, to present his talk on overview of climate change impacts. Mr. Shreyansh Budhia.
Thank you so much, Dr. Acharyya, for giving me this opportunity. Samitra, I want to share my screen. Is that possible?
Yeah, it is there. Should be able to.
Okay. Okay, so this is a presentation I got from, I created. Some of it is from Climate Reality. Just 1 second. So I'm not sure if people, can you see it?
It's coming.
It is?
It is there.
Okay, all right. So it's in presentation mode. I hope everyone can see it. Perfect. So as you know, Rituraj and Dr. Fawzia pointed out, that global surface temperatures have been, departing from the average ever since the Industrial Revolution started taking place, especially after, let's say, the World War I, and really picked up after the 1980s. And eventually we were at a point where we were going towards an ice age, but eventually we started moving towards warmer temperatures. And 19 of the 20 hottest years ever since record, beginning 2001, have been, after 2001, with the 5 hottest being 2016, 19, 17, 15, and 18. So we are definitely seeing something, we are definitely seeing the impacts of climate change, which is a result of carbon emissions in the atmosphere, industrial processes, lack of regulations on carbon emissions, and the increase in greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Worldwide extreme weather catastrophes have also increased ever since the 1980s. The yellow you see here is are storms, the blue are floods and what.
You need to change the slide, Shreyansh.
It didn't?
At least to my side, no.
Okay.
And
how
now
about
it's
you now?
Working, yes, thank you.
Oh, it changed now?
Change it now, yes.
Okay, because I did the presentation, but I'm not sure why it's not showing you the presentation.
I think it's just the okay. Slide not in presentation mode, but if you move to broadcast the presentation mode, then you'll see the full slide.
Right, it's not presentation mode, right?
Okay. Just give me 1 second then to figure this out. Well, let me just share my entire screen. Okay, how about things now? How does it look now?
Just give a taking second. Yes, it is coming. It is bad. Yes, now it is fine. Actually, you are.
Okay, so you can see the entire thing now, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I was in this graph, and as you can see from the 80s all the way until 2019, extreme weather catastrophes have only increased. You see storm numbers from 1980 all the way to 2019. We had those in hundreds. Now we have those in 300s. You see the same as a case for floods and mudslides. You see the same as a case for extreme temperatures, droughts, and fires. So this has been something that's been happening due to climate change primarily, of course. Now, these are some graphics of extreme weather events and times when temperature records were broken in different parts of the world. This is from Amritsar in India, June 2nd, 2019. 50.6 degrees Celsius was the temperature. In Bihar, India, you've had a lot of floods. This was back in 2020, July of 26th, when monsoon rainfalls in the state were above 50% than normal. At least 750 deaths happened that particular year. And that has been the case in a lot of different parts of the country and different parts of the world anyway. In Orissa, back in 2020, they were facing multiple threats. There was COVID-19, which is already going on. Then there was the cyclone coming along as well. This is a photograph from a cyclone evacuation camp in the state. Then, of course, drought. Droughts are all, the number or cases of droughts have also increased tremendously over the last several years. Chennai is a city in South India. It's India's 6th largest city, and it nearly ran out of water as its reservoirs dried up. This is, I think Fawzia was talking about this a little bit. This is what the cyclone Amphan looked like. It was the strongest storm on record in Bay of Bengal, at least until the year 2020. That is where the Sundarban Delta is, and that's where HCI is also working on several community and climate mitigation aspects. And as you can see, it sits right at very close to the epicenter of the cyclone. In some parts of this delta, the sea is advancing inland at 200 yards per year, and more than 1 million people have already migrated further north. In fact, Bengal, where HCI is, and the state of Assam, where Rituraj is from, the effects of this are very obvious. That's not just the case with India and Bangladesh or other parts of the world. It's also the case with India's neighboring Pakistan. This is a photograph from Karachi, Pakistan. Karachi broke its all-time monsoon record in 2020. Rainfall was around 13.6 inches around August 24th or August 25th. This is a photograph from August 27th. Los Angeles, California, temperatures were 49.4 degrees Celsius. A lot of different places within California that have redwood forests have been burning, not maybe right now, but over the last several years, this is an unfortunate phenomenon that's been happening there. This is a photograph from Iraq, 53 degrees Celsius in Baghdad, July 30th, 2020. And on July 28th, 51.8 degrees Celsius. Canberra, Australia. Australia is an interesting country for me, especially because one of my friends was actually trapped in the bushfires that happened in Australia. This was a town, I think it was New South Wales or somewhere, and a military ship had to come to rescue them. Then photographs from Algeria, 51.1 degrees Celsius on July 5th, 2018. Japan, 41.1. We are talking about places that never witnessed temperatures as hot as this. So this is definitely something to be genuinely concerned about. This is a map of Europe, and it was captured in the year 2019, and you can see air temperatures across different parts of the entire continent. Way above what you would consider normal for these countries. Siberia, Russia, the temperature in one particular town was around 38 degrees Celsius on June 20th, 2020. That's not what you would expect for a place like Siberia. 100 degrees temperature has not been recorded, 100 degrees Fahrenheit or 38 degrees Celsius. That's not been recorded so high up close to the Arctic. Now, this is an interesting graph because it shows different parts of the world which right now are uninhabitable. And so the black you see in Saharan Africa, a little bit in sub-Saharan Africa, around, I guess it's Saudi Arabia, so places around Saudi Arabia, Djibouti, and maybe in India as well. Those are currently uninhabitable zones of the planet. But in 2017, these slanting lines that you're seeing across the map, those are all the areas that might be uninhabitable. And you see lots of different places on the map because of that. I mean, lots of places in Australia, pretty much the entire Pakistan, central, South India, a little bit of North India, Saudi Arabia, of course. So climate change is indeed causing devastating consequences that people have not seen before. I mean, globally, floods and extreme rainfall events now occur 4 times more often than they did in the 1980s. And if you see at the precipitation anomaly record, how anomalous were the precipitation patterns according from mean or average deviation, you would see that they have been increasing globally over the last 50, 60 years, up from the 50s until now. US farmers were prevented from planting on 20 million acres of land in 2019, mainly due to heavy rainfall and flooding. And this is a map of this is a graph on rainfalls from India. I particularly like this map because it has Malda in North Bengal as a city where Sumitra is from, and that gets him very concerned. So before 1980s, you see the turquoise color, that's the rainfall in centimeters before 1980s. And the second one, which is blue in color, that's now. I'm not sure why it's not showing that, but sure. Okay, photograph from San Jose, California, then Florida, Hurricane Sally, right? Louisiana, you know, a hurricane. Mozambique, Cyclone Idai. Then there is something about the oceans. 93% of extra heat trapped by man-made global warming pollution actually goes into the ocean. And Brian is more specialized in this area. He might be better equipped in informing about this, but the consequences of this in marine life, in oceans and whatnot is also something that we have been noticing for a while now. The global ocean heat content has changed a lot since the 1960s, and this graph is a great mechanism to depict just that. Okay, half of this increase has occurred in less than the last 20 years. Extreme weather disasters have already costed the global economy $2.5 trillion in the last 1 decade. And that's an increase of almost 1 trillion over the previous 10 years. I was looking at a couple of graphs that said, even though we spend 3 or 4 or 5 trillions developing infrastructure and whatnot to overcome climate consequences, in the future, that's just gonna be less expensive than the costs will incur due to climate loss because of the consequences. Then ice melting, of course, in the poles and also in the Himalayas. Greenland's ice is melting 4 times faster than what was originally thought. This is a graph about the Antarctic ice loss, and you can see over the years, these are in categories of decades, this has just increased. Then 11 million people and some 1.6 trillion in assets might be at risk if sea level rose by 50 centimeters in Mumbai until 2070. Top 10 cities at risk from sea level rise. I mean, Kolkata or West Bengal is something you see as a huge location that's going to suffer because of it. But if you see about this in terms of the asset value at risk, that you're looking at different places. You're looking at New York, you're looking at Miami, Guangzhou, Shanghai, Tokyo as well.
I want to just add one thing here. I just want to add one thing. If we don't do anything, it's not 2070. It will be much before that. And that's the latest prediction.
Right. That's very true, Sumitra.
Sorry,
no, that was required. And so sea level rise by just 1 meter could permanently submerge about 14,000 square kilometers of coastal areas in India, which is a lot of land. Kiribati actually turned out to be the first nation to purchase land in another country to house its climate refugees. Climate change is also a medical emergency. You are not just seeing diseases migrate from the equatorial regions up to temperate and subtropical regions because of climate change, increasing temperature and whatnot. But you're also seeing, because of climate change, people are moving inland, new communities are being developed in areas where there were native ecosystems. And so you're also seeing origin or development of zoonotic diseases that used to be sequestered in wild communities. So climate change is, of course, disrupting natural ecosystems in a way that is making life better for infectious diseases. Now, this is the exact thing I was telling about infectious diseases emerging because of zoonotic conditions, infrastructure going into native ecosystems because of climate change, and you see the consequences of that. which is also seen in terms of biodiversity that we have been losing until this point. And if you were to sum it all up together, then climate change impacts might cost the world $7.9 trillion by 2050. And that's according to the 2019 US dollar values. So this might be entirely different if we make it to 2050 because of inflation and other factors. And this is just one prediction. Some go all the way till $13 trillion. Some say it's $20 trillion. Now, the economic impacts of climate change in different parts of the world. This is how much the average real GDP, again in 2019 dollars, will shrink by 2050 if nothing is done. Then areas in the world which might be more vulnerable and areas which might be less vulnerable to climate change. You see the reds are the ones that are extremely vulnerable, and India is unfortunately one of those countries. Essentially the same, but inequality in the red countries is going to increase due to climate change. And it also includes countries like the United States and Australia and China and Brazil when it comes to inequality because of climate change. So the cost of carbon, all of this is essentially the cost of carbon. Political instability, floods and mudslides, wildfires, ecosystem loss, infectious diseases, sea level rise, melting glaciers, storm damage, you name it, so much more. And the global economy. So ultimately, I would like to end this presentation by saying how important it is for us at HCI to work in this area. And it really is the call of the time to get up, to start thinking about this, and to actually work on projects which could deal with climate change in every possible manner, be it restoration or be it mitigation. Thank you.
Thank you, Shreyansh, Budhia, for your nice presentation and excellent data. We have to do something together to resist this climate change. Now, I request Dr. Soumitra Das, President of HCI, to present his talk on HCI Past and Future. Soumitra, please.
Thank you, Abhijt. Let me see, can you see my presentation? Let me put it into the presentation mode.
We can see.
You can see it?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So you already heard the impact, what climate change is doing. It is very clear that global warming is happening despite a lot of naysayers. It is happening. It's also causing huge troubles or havocs to a lot of people in a lot of parts of the world. We experience that. It's already, we are in temperature, the global temperature has increased 1.1 degree to 1.3 degree. Our target, which is Paris Climate Agreement, which was 1.5 degree to 2 degree centigrade by 2050, most likely it's not happening. And if you can see that for last millennia, the temperature, the average temperature stayed within 0.5 degrees Celsius. But from around 1800, you see that started increasing rapidly. It's like a hockey stick. It's moving up to 1.3 degrees Celsius.
Oh.
Now, what will happen if we move to 3 degrees Celsius? I want to just initiate this to give you a video. You already have seen the impact. I don't want to add more concerns, but I think it would be helpful to understand we are moving towards 3 degrees Celsius, what would happen? Why is this so important? Why are we working on this? I want to motivate that. You may think that 3 degrees Celsius is not a big problem because one day I see that very cold, and then you can deny the fact that global warming is happening. But it is not like 1 degree, 2 degrees Celsius. It is the average of the global temperature. That is what matters. And what another thing is important, it's not what it's doing to the planet, this increasing temperature, what it's doing to the planet. That is the most important part. So going to, let me go back to my, okay. Just give me a second. I want to share a video with you.
In snow and sleet, wearing a jacket or not. In 3 degrees, it can be the difference between snow and sleet, wearing a jacket or not. In your day-to-day life, it may not seem significant, but 3 degrees of global warming would be catastrophic.
Heat waves, droughts, extreme precipitation, even fire. 3 degrees of warming is really disastrous.
The scary thing is, the world is well on its way there. Since the Industrial Revolution, the Earth has warmed between 1.1 and 1.3 degrees Celsius. This is a problem that babies you pass in the street will have to live with. Children born today are up to 7 times more likely to face extreme weather than their grandparents. If global temperatures do rise by 3 degrees, what would their world look like? Rising sea levels, desertification. Hollywood has always enjoyed imagining the end of the world. While blockbusters like this are clearly fiction, this film will show the scenario we all face, unless...
So just wanted to end that we don't have a whole lot of time to go over there. It is going to be catastrophic. That's what I wanted to get that point across. So why is this happening? And for a lot of people, it is very clear. They understand that. I think I want to say just a couple of words on this. What is the reason behind it? If you can see that, this is a chart that tells you the carbon dioxide concentration over the millennia, 1 million years. As you know, carbon dioxide traps heat, and we need carbon dioxide, certain amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. And it has been there below 300 parts per million for the millions of years. But from 1800, Industrial Revolution, we started pumping carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And you can see from 1950 level, crossed this 300 parts per million and went up to 415 million parts per million now. So about over 40% increase, then it has been there for millions of years. In fact, last time recorded, this level of carbon dioxide was 3 million years ago, and the temperatures were 2 to 3 degrees centigrade higher. And sea level was 50 to 80 feet higher than today. With that, I want to say that we have solutions. It's not that we can solve this problem. And the solutions are very clear. We need to stop emitting carbon dioxide, which is already happening. We need to remove carbon dioxide that is already in the atmosphere. And the third thing that we need to do is cool the planet to save the Arctic and Himalayas and Greenland glaciers. because once they're melting, the feedback loop will exacerbate the situation. And if you think about the Himalayas, and I'm going to harp on this a little bit later, that what will happen if Himalayas glaciers get melted. So what HCI is doing, HCI is focused. So there are three pillars, as I mentioned, about climate change: mitigation, adaptation, and restoration. We are interested in the restoration part, meaning removing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. And we are going to talk a little bit more on that, what we are doing. And in addition, we are trying to in the interim refreeze Arctic and glacier. So that those two things are our main focus. So what we have done so far. So we started this organization 2020 from the scratch. We did not have a lot of people, not have a lot of knowledge, but we have a lot of excitement, and we have very dedicated people to work with us. The idea was we want to restore climate and make it safe and healthy for future generations. Abhijit, if you turn off, mute that part, that would be great. So one thing we realized that there's a lot of lack of awareness about this climate change. Why is that? What we can do? So we started from there. This is where we can, with our resources, that's where we can make the difference. So we started the monthly webinar, began writing in social media, talking to people. This is the way we started building our network and building our foundation. We ended up having 4-day global conference with Wharton School. And one more thing we realized that we need to train the young generation. They have the energy and they will have more stake, perhaps, than us. So we started the internship program from getting school, high school students, and college students. At the same time, we started forming climate scientists, a network of climate scientists, engineers, and activists, like all over the world, and forming partnership. That's how you see Dr. Fawzia, Dr. Brian, Rituraj, they all came in that formulate. So we wanted to create solutions that can serve the planet. And we need to collaborate with people. We need people. We need to capture the knowledge and work together to solve this problem. With that, we created a solution and proposal for saving the Himalayan glaciers, and we presented that at COP26. So that's what we have done so far. What is our plan for the future? So we want to continue this awareness program, and particularly in the Indian context, this is very important. I have personally, met so many people and talked about climate change. No idea that's what is happening, why is this happening, and there's a lot of deniers as well, really. We see that it is, sometimes it's so cold, sometimes it's hot. So this is very important to continue this awareness program. At the same time, we think that we need to engage the students' community. We need to change, if we need to change at the political level, we need to engage the student community. So we started talking to the students, and we started with first where I went to did my undergraduate engineering, Jalpaiguri Government Engineering College. That's where we went, and we started talking to them to create a chapter and where they could be involved. And once we perfect that model, once we do that, we want to take that model to other universities and colleges as well. Other thing we are doing is that this is something very interesting, that we are trying to do a fundraising, a global musical concert. And that would be something we're trying to do in October, planning to do in October, November timeframe. That would showcase music from all over the world and giving the message of climate change. And there are a lot of people are working with us, a lot of collaborations happening, and stay tuned for that. So this is something we are planning to do. In the project side, we are moving towards that direction that started with the foundation, that, getting the understanding the lay of the land. And now we understand that there are two things we have to focus on. One is the Himalayan glaciers, and I'm going to explain why I am so interested in that, or we are so interested. And we are working with a lot of scientists and activists on these issues. One of this albedo enhancement, which is the increasing reflectivity of glaciers, and Dr. Leslie Field, who is from California Arctic Ice Project, who is going to talk a little bit about this. I'm working with her and a lot of people to increase albedo enhancement. Another part is the efficient cook stoves, and I'm going to talk, I need help, a lot of help on this distribution, and why it is so important, I'm going to explain in my later slide. Other side of the problem that is the carbons, there are lots of carbon. In fact, excess carbon amount is about 1 trillion ton that we need to review. And how you can do that? There are two areas we are focusing on. One is forestation part, and you're going to hear, and that is, you heard already from Rituraj, that's 5,000 hectare of forestation effort, rewilding effort in Assam. You're going to hear more on Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh area forestation. That's undertaken by Shreyansh. So he's going to talk about that. And then from our partner, Ziaur Rahman from Bangladesh, he has undertaken Bangladesh Sundarban forestation effort. And you already heard kelp and seaweed forestation. This has enormous potential in India in terms of two things: sequestration of carbon. Why these are important in the photosynthesis? You all know that photosynthesis is the way to remove carbon from the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and put oxygen into the atmosphere. So kelp and seaweed, because of ocean is about 75% of land, and kelp and seaweed grows probably 1 meter a day without any obstruction. That makes a huge difference. The potential is very high. At the same time, from kelp, we have the production. You can produce from kelp and seaweed a biostimulant, which can replace chemical fertilizers and increase productivity of our land. So food security, and at the same time solving climate problem, this kelp seaweed forestation has enormous potential in India. And of course, in a partnership and collaboration, we are going to continue doing that. Without this partnership collaboration, we will not be able to succeed. It's a huge amount of work that, this is the greatest challenge we have faced so far. It is of our time. This is the greatest challenge. So need more people, plan to work with more organizations, universities, expand our network of climate scientists and engineers and activists. I want to say a few words of Paschim Banga Vigyan Mancha, which belongs to, from Abhijt Acharyya. Dr. Acharyya is from that organization, representing their organization. It is a great organization. founded in 1980s, with 330,000 members. And they can do a huge amount of contributions to their contribution. So we are in discussion with partnership with that, particularly in awareness campaign and also in cook stove distribution, because they're active in each block of the district in West Bengal. With 330,000 people, members, that we can do wonder. So I'm very excited at the possibility of having partnership, creating partnership with Paschim, Vigyan, Mancha. I'll go few words, say that I mentioned why we are so excited or interested in cook stove and Himalayan. So because of global warming, Himalayan glaciers melting very fast. It is the water tower of Asia. I mean, you can think about 10 rivers, mighty rivers, Ganges, Brahmaputra, Indus, all come from this Himalayan glaciers. And in one side, when it is melting, it's causing flood, increasing sea level rise, right? And so what you see in the downstream today, a lot of flood, is due to the melting of Himalayan glaciers. But on the other side, that if the glacier, when the glacier get melted, then what will happen to all these rivers, mighty rivers? Those rivers will have no water. The source will be dried up. And the problem is that we depend on these rivers for agriculture, hydroelectricity, drinking water, and that could be catastrophic, right? So this is what really we are interested in. And why are you interested? Interim problem, yes. The problem can be solved by reducing emission, carbon emission, by taking out extra carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, which is 1 trillion ton, but it's going to take a long time. The weight is moving forward. It will happen, but it will take a long time. But we cannot wait that long. By 2050, Eastern Himalayas will be free of ice if it gets melting at this rate of melting. Central and Eastern, and some other projections say it's even earlier than that. So this is what is the import, what is at stake at the moment. Now, why it is happening? One part is because it is global temperatures rising. So that's one thing. We cannot change that until we remove the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and stop the emitting carbon. So we cannot do that. But there are other things that we can do that is accelerating the melting. One is the reflectivity of glaciers. So when it gets melting, what we found, the ice loses its reflectivity. So more sunlight absorbs, then the acceleration, the heat, it increases temperature, the temperature of glacier, and thus the melting accelerates. The other part happens, which is also we find, is the deposition of black carbon. Because of the unburned carbon, that all the things we burn, that gets go up and gets deposited on the glacial surface and blackens the surface. And we know black surface absorbs more sunlight and increases the temperature. And in some report, it says that if we can remove this, it is the melting, that acceleration of melting, 50% is due to this black carbon. This is the World Bank report. So the solution, what we are thinking at the moment, is that we need to lower the black carbon emissions, and we also need to increase the albedo glaciers. We cannot change while we are removing carbon dioxide, stopping the carbon emission. This is something we have to do in the meantime to buy time. Very quickly, I want to say the source of black carbon. One thing is that These numbers vary in different reports, but the part I want to highlight, the cooking stove, the residential cooking stove causes the large amount of black carbon pollution. And the second one is 23% is the brick kilns. That brick kilns, that the way we produce brick in India, and there's probably 200,000 of them in India, that's another source of huge carbon dioxide. And then you have those corpse burning and other things that you already have seen, agriculture. And they are huge, 6%, but they are concentrated at certain time. So throughout the year, it's not there, but in certain times, like in Delhi, you cannot breathe because of this pollution. And I wanted to show that this is what I meant by black carbon, how we cook. 150 million families or households, they do that. Now, it's not only the problem for the Himalayan glaciers, but also it emits about 300 to 450 million tons for carbon dioxide per year in India. That is about 12 to 18% of total carbon dioxide. And a lot of people die. About 1 million people die from indoor pollution. So we need to change that. We need to make people aware of this problem. And this is why we have undertaken that, change the way, provide stove in such a way that can reduce the pollution, this black carbon that can stay contained. There are a lot of efforts in this. UN has given a lot of money on this effort. We are talking to several investors to distribute this cooktop. Right now, they are, I think, distributing 1 million cooktops in Assam. We are trying to distribute this in other states. In West Bengal, definitely one of them. And that's where Paschim Vigyan Mancha can be very helpful to create awareness, to distribute and monitor the progress of how they are using it. So how can you help? We can help many different ways. You can tell your friends, create awareness. If you tell 5 friends, and then tell each of them, tell another 5 friends, and with geometric progression, we can cover most of the nation very quickly. You can write, you can organize seminar, you can make demonstration. You can also get involved with us. We need lots of people of all kinds of skill sets. Also, create a chapter in the school, college, community, climate chapter, and very, interested in that. To help you, if you are interested in creating a chapter, we'll be very happy to help you. Just to conclude, it is the greatest challenge of our time, climate change. Our survival of our humanity depends on what we do today. It also generates a lot of opportunity. Think about the situation that the beginning of 1800, with the invent of James, steam engine, James Watt, there were a lot of prosperity, but at that prosperity, we have created a lot of problems as well. It was extracting in one way carbon dioxide, but we did not know what we are doing to the nature. Now we have to think about how we can recycle this. It's just not working today. We need to find different ways to do our economy. It's a circular economy we need to go into. And that creates a lot of opportunity, job opportunity, invention opportunity. We are right at the cusp of the time, just like we had 200 years ago to create a new economy. And thank you very much for your attention. And if you have any question, we can do the question answer maybe at the later, or you can ask if you want a question. Okay. With that, then no question. We can, if there are questions later, I will answer them. And over to you, Dr. Acharyya.
Thank you, Dr. Soumitra Das, for your nice presentation. We enriched a lot and hope Paschim Vigyan Mancha will work with you, with your organization. Now, I request Mr. Shreyansh Budhia, HCI Executive Committee member, to present his talk on land forestation initiative. Mr. Budhia, please.
Soumitra, can you enable the screen sharing again?
Done.
Right. Okay. All right. So we started looking at rewilding landscapes across South Asia with the intention that not only ecosystems sequester a lot of carbon dioxide, but also with the incentive that we have to engage communities in working with something. We have to create circular economy. We have to empower people, and we have to look into the ongoing dialogue about saving 30% of nations' landscapes. This is something that countries are doing. Restoring 30% of landscapes for nature, but in India with a community sense, because in India you cannot earmark 30% of land just for nature. There has to be a lot of community involvement, even in Bangladesh and other parts of South Asia. So we started with this project South Asia Rewild. We started looking into people who might be interested. That's when I contacted Rituraj and I contacted Rahman Rahman from Bangladesh. And we started exploring the idea of what can be done in this. So South Asia Rewild is a 20,000 hectare effort across South Asia to sequester carbon, restore ecosystems, and provide for local economies. This comes from an idea and an understanding that lots of landscapes across the planet sequester a lot of carbon dioxide. So if we are looking at carbon storage of different ecosystems, I mean, wetlands, they sequester something like 700 tons of carbon dioxide per hectare. Boreal forest go 400 to 410 tons of carbon dioxide per hectare. Tropical forests are around 250 to 300. So this is an actual functional thing. We are not just talking about planting trees or monocrops, but we are talking about restoring entire ecosystems and rewilding landscapes. And so when we were clear about this idea, we set out with goals that said, it's about time to rewild landscapes, to rewild 20,000 hectares of land across India and Bangladesh. It's time to sequester carbon dioxide using such ecosystems as commitment to fight the climate crisis, because that's our commitment. We set out to use these efforts to create economically viable and circular systems that empower local communities and are sustainable at the end of the day. We set out to help conserve biodiversity and connect critical habitats for various megafauna, charismatic megafauna that live in South Asia and call South Asia home, and also to help restore degraded ecosystems and provide communities with earlier extant ecosystem services like perennial water availability, healthy soil, healthy agriculture, and whatnot. So we set out with exploring this, and people started joining us. And as I already introduced Rahman from Bangladesh, he came up and he said that he is interested into looking into this. And he started talking with government officials in Bangladesh, with community heads in Bangladesh. And fortunately enough, we are very close to sealing an agreement with the investor for the Bangladesh part. So in Bangladesh, we are working on an integrated community-based multiple land use approach. Implementing partners, of course, recycles our ecosystem. Landscapes we'll be looking at is the Sundarban Delta, which is a climate impacted landscape, and the coastal belt around the area. 5,000 hectares of land is the target. Now, the country, of course, is adversely impacted by climate calamities, and implementation of something like this will be through a lot of community partners. Rahman Bhai will touch on this, but the approach essentially is restoring forests and ecosystems, bringing back fruit and vegetable agriculture in places where they used to grow, and helping communities with fisheries. And so in the Bangladesh part, the core targeted outcomes are people, helping ultra poor people across the country in the impacted landscapes, sequestering 400 tons of carbon dioxide per hectare, and helping conserve more than 12 species of incredible wildlife Bangladesh has to offer. But there are also promises beyond carbon. There is, of course, there is planting, there is rewilding, but there is also involvement of people, there is also generation of employment, there is also monitoring that will go on through this project. Brick by brick, our Bangladesh team has been working, getting all of this together. Step by step, they have identified land in the Sundarban region and the coastal belt region. They have already been talking to different partners about it. They're already talking to communities about it. And they are in a step where they have identified that essentially seven sustainable development goals will be reached if the project is executed successfully. The commitment is 15 years. But we'll first essentially go with the first 5 years to run our project successfully. The second location is the central India, and I'm thankful that Sandeep Manakala and my dear friend Chandrasekhar Yadav have also joined, because these are our local partners in the central Indian landscape, helping us find the land, secure land, execute projects here. And they have been working hard on developing the teams across this landscape. So if we look at the central Indian landscape, the communities, the Banga community that resides in this landscape particularly, is what we will be tapping into, because they are experts in this. And that is essentially the community, and they are essentially the people whose knowledge we'll be using to rewild landscapes across this area. Project, again, will be a 15-year undertaking. We are targeting dry and moist deciduous forest ecosystems, grasslands, and scrublands. Project also involves things like fire control, removal of lantana, which is an exotic plant. The government of India spends $4 billion each year to remove lantana from agricultural land because it just kills those areas. Reservoir and river desilting and grazing management. Now, projected land for this project is around 9,000 hectares to 11,000 hectares. And the project will also involve an active mechanism where we will develop an NTFP consultation and marketplace center. NTFP stands for non-timber forest produce. And it essentially is a mechanism to help communities sell forest produce that is not related to timber, that's not timber essentially, and to make sure that they can sustain their livelihoods. So if we look at a map or a map projection of what the site looks like, this is where the central India site essentially sits. So on the western part of the yellow graph that you're seeing, the yellow area, that is the Painch National Park in India and the Balaghat landscape. On the center right here, that's the Kanha landscape. And it goes all the way to somewhat north eastern Madhya Pradesh and deep into Chhattisgarh. So essentially it's connecting critical habitats for wildlife like tigers, sequestering carbon dioxide. This landscape also is a place where one of the major Indian rivers originates. It's the river Narmada. And so we are also talking desilting those rivers and rejuvenating water supplies. The third project sustainable development goals. So SDSG contributions here are life above land, no poverty, zero hunger, decent work and economic growth, reduced inequality, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption, climate action, clean water, and partnerships for the goals. the third location is something Rituraj already highlighted. It is the Northeast India, and we are rewilding landscapes there with the Forest Man of India, Jadhav Payang, and of course Rituraj, who has been working in this area for a really long time and who knows how to get work done in this field. So projected time period again is 15 years. We are looking at moist deciduous forest ecosystems, grasslands, floodplains, wetlands, essentially. So a lot of carbon sequestration will take place here because it's a wetland is one of the focus regions. And projected land for this project is 5,000 hectares. Again, 6 different phases. Now, when we talk about challenges, of course, land is a big challenge, and we have been partly successful in sort of overcoming that, but there are other challenges associated as well. We are not the first people who are trying to do this. Governments across the world have already tried doing this, and every single time they have failed. Reasons are multiple. There is the monocropping, which is the biggest culprit here. Monocrops do not sequester carbon dioxide. It's multi-cropping or regenerating entire ecosystems that help you sequester carbon dioxide. Then there is community engagement. Most efforts have failed in engaging communities successfully. And so the work happens once and there is no monitoring that happens afterwards. Then there is the entire idea of planting versus growing. What happens often is larger companies, whoever wants to do greenwashing, they plant, but they don't grow. And what this essentially entails is the ability to monitor an entire project for a long period of time so that you're not just planting ecosystems, grasslands and trees and whatnot, but you are seeing that and monitoring that and making sure they grow above 15 or 20 feet over the next 10 or 15 years. So essentially, the challenges are existent and the challenges are many, but what we are trying to do here is to be mindful of these challenges and to learn from mistakes of other people who have already tried implementing this and miserably failed. And we are trying to make sure that we don't land anywhere in those places. So my only humble request here would be if you are someone who knows projects like this that have failed, or if you are someone who would like to contribute to something like this, or who would like to make this sustainable, please feel free to contact us and we'll be more than happy to welcome you in our team to push this forward and really make this successful. Thank you.
Again, thank you, Shreyansh, for your nice talk. Now I request Mr. Jia Rahman, CEO, Recycle Jar from Bangladesh, to give his message. Mr. Rahman, please.
Thank you very much. And it is an absolute pleasure and privilege to be here in this meeting. And this is my first time to attend the HCI third annual general meeting. And thank you, Shreyansh, and introduce me, and Shomituda. And my name is Rahman. I'm from Bangladesh, and I'm the founder of Recycle Jar Ecosystem, and we are working for World Without Waste in this mission in Bangladesh, trying to implement it. And since last 5 years, we are working on this field. And right now, as Shreyansh already introduced me, and regarding project, let me show you the Bangladesh reforestation proposed project with the partnership with the HCI. Can you please share my screen? Can you see it? No.
Sumitra, can you share this? Allow Ramon to share the screen. You're in mute, Sumitra.
Okay, let me try again. Okay, try, go.
Can you see it? No. No.
Not, no.
No.
I think I have seen it. Like it's showing, but so.
Ramon, try sharing your entire screen. When you do the share screen button, try sharing the entire screen and then pull it up.
Let me do it for you, if that's okay.
I think that's better.
Okay, let me do it. Can you see it?
Yeah. Yes. Okay, I think we can start it from here. All right.
No.
As you've seen, Sundarban in Bangladesh is one of the largest mangrove forest in the world. And Bangladesh also, like, it's a small country and where 160 million people lives in this area. And Sundarban is the main protector and the, like, protector of Bangladesh from climate change disaster, which is like cyclone and floods and others. Every year in this community, we are facing this disaster everywhere. From Sido to Amphan, some other best known cyclone has been hitted in Bangladesh last few decades, and Sundarban has been protected from this disaster. Around the Sundarban, almost 12 million people lives in this area. So in this case, and HCI and Recycle Jar is planning to do some forestation in Sundarban area to save the Bangladesh, not only Bangladesh, also the climate change and others. So we call this program is called Integrated Community-Based Adaptation to Climate Change through Afforestation and Reforestation in Sundarban and Coastal Green Belts area. Shanta, can you next slide, please? In the context of Bangladesh, and this is the picture of Bangladesh. If you see, like, almost 12 million people, as I mentioned, living in this mangrove and coastal district area, due to adverse climate change in Bangladesh, as everyone knew that Bangladesh is the disaster, laboratory of the climate disaster, and coastal belt area, one of the key places where every human being has been affected. So that human being, we can call it like climate refugee. Myself also from a climate refugee family. So I know the, like, adverse severity and the impact of the livelihood of these communities. Beside the Sundarban, almost 12 million people lives in this area. Estimated, due to global warming, 10 to 15% land will be inundated by 2050. Resulting of this, over 25 million billion people will be climate change refugee from this coastal district area. Next, please. The implemented area, we are focusing in three core areas beside the Sundarban, also inside the Sundarban area. One of the key area, which is called Sharankola. If you see in the Google Maps, you can find it, these things. And there is some few islands as well. You can see the name. And also the is connected with the West Bengal Sundarban area. For the north, there is a 30% of the land Sundarban is connected with the West Bengal, and 60%, almost 65% land which is connected to Bangladesh portions. There is a three key area beside the Sundarban, and one is Sharankola, another one is Mangla range, another one is Satkhira range. And we are planning to do these three ranges together, this reforestation project. Next, please. Objective of this project. Our aim to reducing climate vulnerability local communities through participatory planning, community-based management, integration, climate resilient livelihoods, and diversification of species in afforestation and reforestation project. The three core objective we are planning to achieve: increase resilience of local communities through diversification of climate resilient livelihood and diversification of species, mangrove coastals. As you know, there is so many species has been disappear from this due to climate change and is going to be extinct. And especially the tiger habitats almost from 1972 it was almost 5 to 6,000 tiger inside the Sundarban. Now is becoming only 350 to 400 tigers. So animal extinction also causes huge problems. Another key objectives we are trying to achieve, which is promote community stewardship, mangrove area, establishing co-management, linking to the local people's livelihood through access benefit sharing mechanism, and protect communal livelihood assets, local people from extreme weather events through effective early warning, disaster preparedness, planning, and risk reduction. From the point of Shreyansh last thing, that most of the tree plantation forestation project happened last 10 to 15 years. It was not completely successful because of there is a less of community engagement, also less of community empowerment. So due to that things, so many project has been failed. And this is the reason we don't want to fail this project. That's why we are planning to integrate it with the community, to involve with the community in an economical benefit way. Next one, please. This is the model we would like to introduce inside the Sundarban and outside the Sundarban with their livelihood. The 3FB model we called it, which is very which is actually innovative and also is a sustainable model. One is forest, which is our core objective to do the tree plantation. Another one is fruit, fish, and vegetables. The forest, there is a 20 climate resilience tree will be planted, and also 10 economical benefited trees will be planted in this area. And this area has been covered with salinity. So all trees and the all the trees will be salinity resistant trees in this model. And fruit will be there is some famous fruit like dragon fruit or other fruit. This fruit will be benefited mechanism for the people who are in this area. Also we will introduce 10 high yielding climate resilient fish will breed, and vegetables 30 climate resilient vegetables under the is called multi approach farming model. Next one. Go to next slide. Next please. Okay, that one. Next, this is the previous one. Yeah, this step of implementation, there is a lot of way of step of implementation. We just key highlighted those 3 implementation area, which is selecting the land, modeling the plan, and the 3FB model will be implemented. So selecting land, as you know, the mangrove coastal abundant forest land, we are trying to grab it, as Shreyansh also mentioned how you do that. Follow the land beside river, sea, and advisable to select land in the lower soil salinity. So most of the coastal belt area is totally salinated based soil, and we'll figure out the less salinated soil salinated area. Then model the plan. We'll implement for the implementation of the plan. We'll make it out. We have to land arrangement and others. Then we'll implement it as per plan happen. This is the outcome. This is the outcome we are planning to do. As Shreyansh already mentioned in this slide, 400 tons per hectare. We have a target. Just key for a note. Normal. Basically, there is different type of forest around the world, but most forest which absorb carbon dioxide is called mangrove forest. Mangrove forest is 3 to 4 times absorbed than other forest. So Bangladesh, as I mentioned, is a mangrove forest. So we have a very easy target we can achieve, 400 tons per hectare, 12 species rewilding. We have a target. Around 1 million ultra poor people will be benefited from this project. Next one, please. This is the delivery beyond our carbon. What is our key objective to implement this plan? The 200,000 trees will implement plant and the key difference between other project and this project, tree planting project, is that we will introduce first time is technological adaptability of the traceability of each trees during this circle of 15 years to 30 years, so that the tree, when it will be nursery to like 15 years or 30 years, the zone will make a traceability of each tree, so anyone can see that tree growth situation and the everything due to this technological adaptability anywhere around the world. Wherever you are sitting, you can see this tree, what is the status of this tree. So there is no hide and seek and other things will be pursue here. We will be the very transparent and transparency will be implement here. So provide climate resilience, innovative ecosystem, livelihood support. 10,000 household, we have a target to livelihood, reforested 5,000 hectares of group, and 50 core 12 species and 50 other species will be established in this protected coastal greenbelt area. And we are planning to establish 100 forest resource protection groups so that they can look after, maintain, monitor the plantation. And 10,000 forest dependent household will be act as their economical benefit will implement there. And also establish 4 Upajala co-management committee, which is called Upajala during this area, I mean surrounding this area. And we'll establish almost 6,000 core program forces, so volunteer so that they can support and make some women entrepreneur in this program. And we will also planning to do some 10 community resource center and satellite adaptation learning center, so that we can engage community and we can develop the community to look after the community and in an economical benefit way, so that people can restore, I mean look after the tree plantation and protect the environment as well. Soumitra, next one please. Next slide. This is the process. We'll introduce how it will start. We will assess the local assessment and planning, execution, the implement, community meeting with the community leaders and non-government agencies to project implementation and the contractual commitment to the community. And based on all feasibility report and other assessment for presentation, we'll make it. Next one. Next, please. This is the community approach we'll introduce, and which is training previous one. No, previous one. Before one, this one, yeah. Community approach will next. The next one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think there's a lag.
Training. Yeah. Training local stakeholders and staff. Yard meeting and for creating women entrepreneur and technology adaptation. As I said, there will be a traceability, and we'll also I think smart climate village approach. This is very innovative approach. This is very innovative climate village, and for the adaptability from so many disasters. That's why this is the way climate village has been established in Bangladesh, Sundarban areas. Besides, next slide. And this is the brick by brick. We will start the forest, which is 3B fast model is forest. We'll do mangrove nursery, then site measurement, and then after has been site measured, then we'll community people will do tree plantation, and this is a slight bird view how it looks after the couple of years of plantation. And this is the forest. This is the way we'll introduce the forest one. And next slide. And multi-approach farming it will be a need-based farming. There is the community is very vulnerable community. Therefore, to resist the climate disaster or cyclone, and every inch of their yard and also their house can be used to do farming, and those vegetable and others also have a climate storage capacity, and that's why we mentioned that 20 climate resilience vegetables and others. So this is the very good need-based and productive approach to the coastal belt areas. Next one. The fruit one, there is a salinity water, a salinity soil in this area. Only few fruits has been cultivated, and one of the major fruit which has a demand not only like local but also international, called dragon fruit. And this dragon fruit has been is a very productive approach, and already we are also planning to do dragon fruit implementation in this area, and also sunflower production. And this is the few snap of how it works, planting the dragon, sampling, post harvesting, during the harvesting, and collecting dragon fruits from the local people. Next slide. And this is the very interesting things, because as you know, the flood hit in Bangladesh, and every year. So for that reason, they have some resilience, and they become some innovative way of doing fish farming. So one of the very famous fish farming called cage fish farming. Another one is biofloc farming, open pond farming, and crab farming. As so this mechanism very has been proven and very sustainable, and this one we are trying to introduce with this affiliated with this project, so that people can increase their livelihood, whoever has a pond and other system, whoever interested in the farming. The approach why we are mentioning this thing, because in this coastal belt, almost 12 million people living with different sort of engagement. Some are doing vegetables, some of them doing fish, and some of them doing some fruits and others. So that's why we need to engage in different ways, so that they can at least look after the trees and others. The next slide, please. This is the need-based visit is gone. Next. This is the need-based vegetables abuse. As I mentioned, we'll create some women entrepreneur and others, and they are mostly famous on the vegetable farming, homestead vegetables, dye cropping, multi-purpose farming, as well as net farming. This is the net farming, which is very common, because when cyclone and other disaster happen, so it is not fly away, or there will be no crops damaging. Very innovative approach, and it is a sustainable approach in that coastal belt area. The next one. Those will be the key beneficiary of our project: demographic, social, household income, the household expenditure, homestead land, housing, access the drinking water, sanitary facilities, and we'll communicate with an affiliated partner with some local NGOs, forest dependency, asset diversification, production diversification, sales diversification, and also food security. The next one. This is key involvement of those area and people, especially government sites in Bangladesh, and different department. It's just showing that forest department, water department, co-management committee, and also agriculture extension program. Next slide, Dada. SDG target, as Shreyansh already mentioned, and I think the things, if we implement as per our plan, this core target will be we can fulfill, which is climate action 13, and end of poverty, number 1, and end of hunger in that community and others, number 2, and achieve gender equality. We'll create the women on empowerment over there, and also conserve, which is life below water, conserve the life seas and others, and protect wetland, others, mangrove forest, and the partnership with the different partners. Next slide. Those will be our, as we mentioned, those will be our strategic partner, and some forest department, as you mentioned, UNDP. We already had a verbal agreement with the UNDP, and our knowledge partner will be Bangladesh Agriculture University, and the contracting farming partner will be Krishi Shopno, and the distribution partner will be Go Gravy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. G.R. Rahman, CEO, Recycle Jar from Bangladesh, and we informed a lot from you. Thank you once again. Now, I request Dr. Leslie Field, founder and CTO, Arctic Ice Project from the USA, to present his message.
Okay, thank you very much. This is my first HCI annual meeting, and I am just so honored to be part of this and learning so much about really acting with the community. It's really fantastic. If I can share screen, I'll give you a little bit of very quick intro to what we do. So let's see if this works. Okay, looks like it's up. Let me get it into bigger format so you can see it. So I am the founder and chief technical officer of something called Arctic Ice Project. It's a nonprofit in California. And what we've been working on is trying to address this loss of ice all over the world. One of our focus areas has been that we've lost so much reflective ice in the Arctic that we're now heating the world. You know, global warming is actually having an increase because we don't reflect summer sunlight in the ocean anymore. Why on earth does this have anything to do with all the important problems that you're talking about today is we can also use this, we think, on glacial ice. And Dr. Soumitra Das approached me some time ago asking me to think about, you know, could we do something for the Himalayas? And I think indeed we could for the Himalayas and for Greenland. We're trying to do this entire framework, which you people, all of these presentations are showing, are just doing brilliantly. It seems to me everybody here has been addressing, you know, it isn't just about a technology. I'm a terminal engineer, I guess, you know, an inventor, and, you know, I think about the technology, but I have been working hard on trying to understand all the other parts you need to know to actually produce solutions that will make sense. And working at the local level with people who know the area is absolutely key. So that's what we've been doing. Our proposed solution is very simple. The question I asked myself was, if you've got ice that is losing its reflectivity, as I showed you up here, which you're also having in the Himalayas from different reasons, right? Black carbon, cook stove depositions, things like that are contributing to that. What if we could brighten things with some safe material? And so it's a very simple concept. What has become our front runner material over time to do this is something called hollow glass microspheres, and these are basically made out of silica, glass, amorphous, so very non-hazardous. I really act very much by, if you're going to make an intervention, at least first do no harm. You know, try to make darn sure you're not going to make anything worse. And these are widely used, commercially available, all of this, and they're passing all the safety tests so far. I'm very excited. We've got a collaboration with a wonderful lab in Norway, Sintef Ocean, which has a group of marine biologists who are going to continue to test to make sure everything we do is safe. But every test so far has said it is. And the idea is, and why this begins to look perhaps promising for Himalayan ice, is that we can restore reflectivity on ice and on melt ponds. Open ocean doesn't reflect much, not so relevant to you, but it's what we've been looking at. Thin ice reflects more. If you put a layer of these materials at, maybe 10, 20 hairs widths thick, so not terribly thick layer, you can boost reflectivity a lot. And why does that matter? That helps prevent ice melt. It helps stabilize the ice. If you've got snow, if you've got really, really thick ice, you're not going to increase its reflectivity by doing this beyond what it is already. But if you don't, if you have darkened ice or hardly any ice at all, this can help. And it helps instantly. Why isn't this advancing? It helps instantly. This is what it looks like on a pond in Minnesota where we've experimented a lot. An area that has this material on it versus test control areas that don't have anything on it. It's a big brightening, and it happens instantly. So bare ice at that pond area, pretty dark, snow pretty bright. As soon as we put on this very same area these HGMs, it gets brighter. So the idea is as simple as that. We work with a lot of instrumentation. This is what things look like from drone footage above, and we find that we really can, even in a small pond, shallow pond, we can preserve ice for quite a bit. So that's an exciting result. This is what happened over the course of this last test season in Minnesota. And you can see that even when snow falls on it and then melts, the materials are staying in place, helping until temperatures get really high. So it doesn't have the ice last forever, but it has it last longer. And that can be really important. We've done with partners, collaborators at Climeformatics, a couple of really talented climate modelers. We've done assessments in the ocean. They are very happy to start modeling land ice as well. And really, these are crucial levers to do this. But mainly, I want to talk about, so that's just a quick overview of what on earth is our technology. But because Dr. Das asked us to, look into this, we've been really starting to dig in on glacial ice. And again, the same talented team in Minnesota has been doing experiments looking at what happens to ice if we use these same techniques, if it has been darkened with silt, as in glacial ice in Greenland, for instance, or with black carbon. They're just getting samples for that now, or, dust in general. And so it's looking extremely promising. So what we're doing, this is a change in focus from what Arctic Ice Project has been doing up till now. And I'm forming another nonprofit to be able to address specifically this glacial ice. I think we haven't finished incorporating yet. I'm still trying to keep both organizations running well. I think this is going to be called Bright Ice Initiative. Look for us when we get there. What's really exciting to me is the idea of really being able to get appropriate permissions and collaborations. Shamitra has been building these networks of collaborations, as you can tell here, that are really phenomenal, that say that we could actually find areas where we could make sure whether we can really help things with this sort of solution and probably evolve the solution as well. It looks like there's a nice connection growing with Sonam Wangchuk up in Nepal as well with his ice stupa work, and just really be able to test, compare, contrast, establish, how can we do this to help preserve the drinking water supply, preserve the ice, all the reasons you know very, very well of why you want to stop that glacial melt up in the Himalayas and possibly even over time reverse it. So I'm really honored to be here. Thanks so much. And I think unless there's questions, that's it for me for right now.
Thank you, Leslie, so much.
Thank you.
Abhijit, to you.
I thank Dr. Leslie Field for his presentation, and we know a lot about Arctic Ice Project. Thank you once again. Now I request Mr. Dijodas Ghoshal, Secretary, HCI, to present his topic on Sundarban pilot project. Mr. Ghoshal, please.
Thank you so much, Dr. Acharyya. I'm really sorry that my voice is a bit choked because of the consequent to the aftermath of my vacationing. So I should be excused for that reason. And right now, I just like to share my slides.
You can.
Okay. After being soaked to wisdom and the great deliberation by enlightened speakers, I don't think that I need to dwell on each slide too much, because I'll run through the slide very fast, because otherwise I think that holding interest and a flair for listening to so much of stuff. So I'll just share my simple experience without getting into any theory whatsoever. I'm sure you all know about everything, just sharing my experience. Okay. All right. So we had a plantation project at Jharkhali Sundarban. So this is the particular place where we have had a session with their people. What was the reason that why you have gone for this project? Clearly elaborated. Of course, it has. I'm sure I don't need to read out these things, but you can see it in case of any questions that I will respond. And of course, it is definitely one point I want to impart importance to is the waking up to the reality of the Sundarban Delta. Because as everybody has spelled out, that Sundarban is on the verge of being submerged. So agroforestry and buffer against the frequent occurring cyclones are the rationale for going for this project. Actual work downs, I've given you the complete ramifications and the details of the kind of the mangrove plants that we have planted in the forest land. You can see that things. All right. So about 1,000 different kind of saplings we have planted, and all the different kind of plantation what we have done, that is also clearly mentioned over here. So one important thing what we have done, just seeing that, going by the experience from the people, that even if in the, you see different presentation and different papers, it looks quite attractive that we are going for so much of plantations. Even government has also announced that they are doing a whole lot of plantation, but in reality, what we have seen that after plants are being planted for about after 3-4 days, these are gone because of various reasons. It may be because of the domestic animals or different other rationale that sustainability is the question. So we felt that we should do the barricading, and that barricading has protected all these plants from the intrusion of the domestic animals and for the human intervention. So I've also given the timeline. What we have done is clearly spelled out here. Okay, so and we have procured the palms, and we have given a lot of support for giving all the these palms, these pipes, and water sources and electrical connections and everything, so that this can be sustained. So these are the visual. This is how we have executed the plan. Series of visit, of course, that meeting with the different agencies and the local people. And we have established the supply chain and identified the person who are interested in this kind of project and identified the beneficiaries. And of course, we have provisioned the fund and executed the project. Now, the future scenario, actually this is only a pilot project, because this project we have done, we have made some multi-kind arrangement. Initially in the government land, we have put this mangrove forest in the basically makeshift damp area, at least embankment. We put the evergreen trees like mahogany and all those so they can hold the soil. Then at the private land, we have put the food bearing trees like the coconut trees and betel trees like that. We had got the intention, of course, very serious intention that we'll extend this program. And we talked to the different organizations also, including Mine One, who are ready to fund also. But the reality, even after 1 year, it has become really very sad, because although we have got a very ambitious plan to go for the 10-kilometer area, which will create another 100 clusters, but entire plan has become a big question mark in view of the dangerous climatic condition. And in every year, I mean, before Yash, this Amphan, then Ayla, then Phony and whatnot, it has become an everyday affair right now. And this kind of project is, to our understanding, is unsustainable with our present kind of modeling. What is the dangerous situation that I'm talking about is, of course, this mangrove forest. They have to dig out this thing. I'll show you some visuals. The people has to safeguard the embankment, the makeshift embankment, by bringing out the soil from the mangrove area. And of course, forest islands, these are affected by the rising sea levels. And this temporary embankment, what they have given, that these are absolutely unsustainable, and water ingress happen in a massive scale. And that this cause the salinity of the soil dramatically change, led to the water logging. Now from my eyewitness account, I'm seeing that in Jharkhali area, most of the people face some kind of a big disaster. It's like a famine situation. And people had to migrate, actually. The person who was my beneficiary had to also migrate, because there's nothing to grow out there. The entire soil is gone. Now, only some specific kind of IR64 or 60, that kind of paddy, they are trying to grow. And that is also a questionable. The situation is extremely sad. And as far as my beneficiary is concerned, 2 of their people have died also. One of the reasons is diarrhea, because with the saline water ingress, people's health has become a big question. I think so many people have talked about this. The climate change is also a health emergency, and people are dying. And I'm not talking about from any theory anywhere. This is my completely from experientially, I'm telling you, this is what I've seen. Just showing you some of the visuals in our project site. You just see the project site, what it is. See, entire area is flooded. I'm not telling you what it is, but you'll find that entire area embankment got flooded by this Yash and Amphan. So as an experiment, actually, we feel that what we can do actually, should we surrender to this event, is, of course, going by the IPCC report, it is unlikely that we'll be able to really reverse this situation in foreseeable future unless we take a very drastic step. In the sense that we talk about the carbon sequestration, we talk about that will not be burning the fossil fuels anymore. But even then, the effect, whatever is right now, trillions tons of carbon dioxide, that effects will be there for 1,000 years. So this situation is unlikely to be mitigated in foreseeable future, going by the IPCC report, and even containing within the 2 degree is impossible, as already told that it is going for the 3 degrees centigrade. And this grid-driven economy and all those things, I don't think that economic compulsion and all those things will very soon, it will mitigate this situation, but a lot of effort is going on, particularly for the climate group, to bring awareness. I'm sure that there is a light of hope, but left with us what we have done as regards to the saving the mangrove, because if we bring the sapling that area, it looks that every year this cyclonic effect will not allow it to survive. So can we grow these things outside this brackish or the salt water? Yes, it is. There is a possibility by talking to people. We did something. Actually, of course, I've done it in our organization. I tried this thing, and through the Miyake process, we are able to grow even in fresh water. It is possible. So one possibility is that we can grow the this mangrove tree, bring it up to some sizes so that it can sustain, and then replant it in the affected area. This is one possibility we are experimenting, right? Let's see what happens. So talking about this beneficiary, our projection was 500 houses, but it is unlikely in a present situation that whether that thing can happen. And these are some budget that by versus the real expenditure, that what we have done in the course of the executing this project, some figures. Okay, thank you so much. Hello.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Rituraj, for your nice sharing of Sundarban pilot project. Thank you once again. Now, I request Mr. Chandan Bhattacharya, Vice President of HCI, to present his topic on HCI membership, partnership, and collaboration. Mr. Jayanto Banerjee. Sorry, Mr. Chandan Bhattacharya, please.
Hi, I'm Chandan Bhattacharya. Today, we are here to attend our third AGM. I shall present on membership, partnership, and collaboration. HCI is young, but growing fast. In spite of a pandemic situation, HCI has continued its creative work. After the last AGM, we have conducted 6 webinars where 570 people attended live program, and many people have seen it later in our Facebook and website. Our subjects was very interesting and valid. We conducted on 6th March, we started in the previous year, 2021, on carbon capture, regenerative agriculture, and solar radiation management. And the second webinar, our subject was reversing global warming, increasing cloud albedo. Then on 11th July, we conducted a webinar on third pole melting, impacts and implications. This program we have conducted in collaboration with the Healthy Climate Initiative, the Climate Reality Project India, and Indigenous People Climate Justice Forum. On 20th August, our subject was carbon pricing and climate income. Here also, we have collaborated with Citizens Climate International. Then on 5th December, we conducted a program on how can we preserve the Himalayan glaciers and save billions of people. And last but not the least, in 8th January this year, we have an interactive webinar with the alumnus of the Jalpaiguri Government Engineering College on climate change, challenges, and opportunities. We count our membership through WhatsApp group, Facebook, website, email, Instagram. In total, we have 2,061 members connected with HCI, apart from few HCI groups and subgroups. Our partnership and collaboration. HCI has partnered with few well-known organizations dedicated for climate restoration activity. They are namely the Arctic Ice Project, an exploration of ice regrowth headed by Dr. Leslie Field in California. Then, Climate Foundation. The organization is made up of people from different parts of the world dedicated for reversing global warming with the goal of food security, ecosystem survival, and carbon balancing. Brian von Herzen is the founder and executive director of Climate Foundation. Then Mr. Jadot Piang, who is also popularly known as Molai Piang, earned his name as the forest man of India by spending 30 years of his life in planting 40 million trees to create a real man-made forest in the changing barren sandbar of Brahmaputra. So he is also interested of partnering with Healthy Climate Initiative. Mr. Rituraj Phukan, founder of Indigenous People Climate Justice Forum at Nagaon, Assam. He is an environmental writer, adventurer, and naturalist. He was speaker of few of our webinars, and always he is very much supporting with the HCI webinars and activities. And our newly, we have connected newly with the recycle jar ecosystem of Bangladesh. Mr. Ziaur Rahman is the CEO. And many more, I shall take few more names like Climate Formatives. Dr. Subarna Bhattacharya is the CEO. He is also, she is also interested of working with HCI. Then Foundation Climate Restoration, Mr. Dr. Peter Fikowski is the CEO. Then Healthy Planet Climate Action Committee, and many more. So HCI membership, how can we take a HCI membership? To become a HCI member, any person interested in climate change subject and wish to promote the objective of HCI can be enrolled as a member of the society. There is no membership fee for general members. However, any member who pays a sum of rupees 300,000 in a year shall become a patron of HCI. We select member based on the individual interest, qualification, and professional competence. Initially, we invited people to join who are around our contacts. Now, people are joining through our website, www.hci.in.net, and Facebook page, Healthy Climate Initiative, Healthy Climate Initiative Group. In our WhatsApp group, we have 312 members. And in Facebook, we have 890 members. In email, we have 690 connections. In Instagram, we have 40 members. And in website, LinkedIn, and subgroups, we have around 300 members. In total, we have 2,061 members. And I am sure many people will be watching with our program other than becoming, and those who are not yet become the member, but they're watching our activities. Now, our aim is how to reach more people interested in climate restoration movement. We are promoting our website. We are using our reference and invitation, and join in partnership and collaboration with organizations having same objectives. We are conducting regular webinar and events related to climate restoration. We visit school and colleges to involve our students and make a chapter there, and attend World Conference. I'm happy to inform you that our President, Dr. Soumitra Das, has attended COP26 at Glasgow in 2021 and met many world leaders. And we invite the people through email. Here I request all of you to join with Healthy Climate Initiative Group and invite your known people to work with us for the healthy climate, for climate restoration movement. Today, I'm happy to hear from Dr. Acharyya that he is also interested to work with us. Climate problem is our problem of the century. I invite all to join and restore the issue. This is a wake-up call. We no longer have the luxury to ignoring the climate change. Our target membership in 2023, by end of 2022 is 6,000. So our future plan is that we aspire to be thought leaders in the world on the foundation of innovation and talent for our people. I shall give you a small introduction of our EC members. Dr. Soumitra Das is our president. Me Chandan Bhattacharya is vice president. Mr. Dijudas Ghoshal is the secretary. Mr. Shreyansh Budhia is joint secretary. Mr. Jayanto Banerjee, treasurer. Ms. Proma Das, member media and communication. Mr. Ashok Chatterjee, member and collaboration. Ms. Somdatta Basu is member events. For any query, please contact me in my mail ID, chandank196963@gmail.com. chandank1963@gmail.com. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you. Thank you for joining with us.
Thank you, Mr. Jayanto Mr. Chandan Bhattacharya, for your nice presentation and about membership, partnership, and collaboration. We are enriched very much for your talk, from your talk. Now, Soumitra.
I think we can. I want to open up for question and answer. If there are any questions and answers, if there are any questions. Paul, you have a question. Can you please go ahead?
Yeah, so let me get my video on here. Fine. Absolutely wonderful. I'm enjoying the group. I'm a member in here. I'm based in the United States, but I have been to India 8 times, lived there about 6 months total. My projects are mainly, the main project is in West Bengal, down in the Sundarbans, and I'll address that here. First of all, we are very good at elaborating what is the problem. We have to spend more time on what are the solutions to be able to do that. I am working on solutions, and I'm here to offer them to us, to the whole thing, to the best that they're possible. I'm a specialist on pyrolysis, biochar, those types of issues, energy. So my first comment is, in your list of the SDGs that you are addressing, you left off number 7, which is clean energy. Absolutely, it's part of what you're doing. It must be part of what we're doing. In fact, in slide number 12 by Dr. Das's presentation, he had a picture of cook stoves, and one of those stoves was mine. It was the Champion stove. It is built in West Bengal, 100%, and we're looking at projects, but we cannot expand it because we do not have sufficient support, and it's mainly financial types of things inside of India. Happy to help you. It can go to other areas in India. I could go on this for hours, okay? Now, myself in the Sundarbans, we did a project with this same stove, and we were on Himmelganj. Himmelganj is literally on the river border with Bangladesh, across the waters from it. A successful project. That project was stopped because of shortage of funds, the political unrest associated with immigration laws in India concerning people who were not Muslims or who were Muslims. That caused, we couldn't go into the area. And of course, COVID came in and kicked us in the pants for the rest of it. We're ready to go. It can go again. It is successful, but it cannot be done without some funding for that. We make biochar in Ganga, which is between Calcutta and Bangladesh. We are producing tons of biochar per day. And this is not being used as biochar for sequestration. It is being sold for incense stick making, etc. We have a project. We can convert over what's going on for this, looking for a sponsor, but we pay the housewives in that area for this biochar. And we do not get paid anything for the biochar if we're putting it into soil. We can sell it, and that's fine. We'll do carbon credits for it and everything else. Please buy it. 5 tons per day is available. Get the commitment. That's about 25 cents US per kilo, $250 a ton. I can go on and on about all of that. So the cook stoves part also relates to fuels, biomass fuels. We can make fuels of the agricultural residues which are grown in the area. Part of it is pelletization and stuff like that. Again, it takes somebody that wants to do something there at the crop waste. So I'm asking that I asked for comments back from members here about, am I off track or something? Can we get something going on it? But you have a network. We have the connections. I don't have those connections. I can't even name half of the organizations which are aligned up with you and what we're dealing with. So I'm trying to look for that part. I'm available, and I'll put this up and I'll just hold this a picture. It's got my email address and on it. I have a website that's on woodgas.energy with a white paper. Crop wastes, instead of burning them in the fields, that's another topic. Too many topics. So thank you for listening to that. And I'll talk with Dr. Field about ice restoration on a separate topic. But here's my information again. Hopefully you hear from some of you.
Paul, I'm so glad to see you here. All those comments are near and dear to my heart and our objective. I'd like to get your phone number. I want to talk to you.
Okay. Can I put it in the chat?
Yes, please put it on the chat. I want to talk to you because you could be an enormous help in all the things you have been doing. We can definitely collaborate. We'll try to do our best on this because I'm looking for funding. There is a funder for cook stoves, and I'll be very happy to collaborate with you.
There's a number of things. I will put the number in for everyone to see it if they want to contact me, but especially with you, I'll be talking about it. And I think we can make some real progress here. Thank you.
Absolutely, we'll do that together. And send me your phone number. Thank you so much for your comment. It was wonderful to see you here. Any other question, comments? That was wonderful. Paul. Okay. Any other question? Okay.
Yes.
Rituraj, thank you.
Yeah. So I have a few comments. Number one is that regarding the stove, I think the Eastern Himalayas, especially Assam and the Northeast, a lot of people are still based out of villages where they are using firewood as well as stoves that are not efficient. I know there are projects which have already distributed a lot of stoves in this area, but that's nothing compared to what is the requirement. So maybe HCI can actually prepare a project to the governments in Assam and the other states of Northeast, where we could propose to the government with their partnership, perhaps their funding or part funding at least, to make a difference in these rural areas. And I have some partners who are working with very remote and rural communities, so that can be a possibility. Second thing I wanted to mention was lantana, which Shreyansh had come up with as an invasive plant. But lantana also has a lot of potential. I know the Indian government is spending billions to remove lantana, but lantana, Indian scientists have found that has got a lot of medicinal properties, and then it also can be used in other areas. I think it is also used for ornamental purposes, and a lot of insects like butterflies are actually using lantana, so it could aid biodiversity, restore things like insect loss and all that in some areas if they're cultivated or limited to certain areas. And lastly, but very important to the critical issue of community-led grassroots-based solutions, nature-based solutions, which are part of community initiatives. I think we must look at the hemp solution in the Northeast region. The entire Eastern Himalayas, as well as the Hindu Kush Himalaya foothills, has been traditionally a hemp growing area, even before it was banned, like less than 100 years ago. It was widely prevalent, and even now it grows all over the area in the wild. And we know that hemp sequesters a lot of carbon. Besides, the utility of hemp goes from everything from concrete to fibers to proteins to a lot of things. And especially, I think we could possibly place hemp against oil palm, which the government so wants to introduce as an alien species to Northeast India. Oil palm is destructive. It's going to add to the emission of greenhouse gases, whereas hemp could be an alternative solution that actually solves the problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Rituraj, as always, for your insightful comments. Yes, we need to partner with government for the cook stoves. And what we are trying to do is that cook stove, because it sequesters carbons, and 2 to 3 tons per family. So we are trying to get the funding from those polluters that we don't like to get carbon credit programs. So there is a program already, 1 million cook stove distribution in Assam in progress right now. And we want to expand that to other areas to get the funders. But that's not going to be enough. We need to have others and the main player, the government, to get involved. So definitely that's something we will look into. And another discussion, hemp and lantana, let us take it offline and see how we can help on those things. Thank you. I think we are running out of time. Send your comments, question to Chandan Bhattacharya. Also put the email, and we will try to answer your question. And Paul, I will reach out to you personally and see how we can get your help and collaborate in the project. With that, I will let Abhijt to give the vote of thanks, and with that we will end the meeting. Thank you everyone for your participation. It was wonderful to see you all here, and thank you our partners for their presentation. I'm looking forward to have a fruitful and productive partnership in the future. Dr. Acharya, Abhijt,
yes,
you and end the meeting, conclude the meeting.
Okay. Now it's the time to give vote of thanks to the participants of 3rd AGM of HCI. At first, I give my thanks to President HCI, Dr. Pumitra Das, for his cordial cooperation. After that, I give my thanks to Vice President, Secretary, Treasurer, and other members, Executive Committee members who are of HCI, who are present here and put their messages on. All the members of Paschim Vigyan Mancha Malda District Committee who are present here. I would like to thank the President, Rotary Club of Mango City, Malda, and all other dignitaries from different parts of this globe who have participated and make this AGM a grand success. All the dignitaries who are present here. So everybody, thank you all. Hope HCL and Paschim Banga Vigyan Mancha will work together in near future. Thank you, and that's all. And I adjourn the meeting. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, so much. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.